We Predacons forbid you to watch this video if you are under the age of 13. That means you must click the box and exit the video. Yes. But if you continue to watch, it shall avail you not. No. For now the power gauntlet has been cast. Predacons, terrorize!
Hey everyone, welcome back to Input. And in this video, I figured I would do something a little different. So I figured that this video would be me restoring a Transformer or an older action figure or whatever. But in this case, a G1 Optimus Prime. Now, as you see, he's relatively beat up. He has the chrome is missing off the bumper, off the grill, especially off his legs. I mean, anywhere and everywhere that was chromed is pretty much not there at this point in time. His legs are a bit difficult to get into place and lock into place and everything as well. He's missing a sticker here, and you can see the residue, the paint on the die-cast is coming off, and it's just all around not in the greatest shape, but he is in decent shape. He's in decent enough shape, I feel like. He does open up relatively easy. The wheels are dirty and everything. So yeah, I figured that I would show you guys the adventure, and you guys can come on the journey with me of restoring this Generation 1 Optimus Prime. Like I said, he's got no other parts. What you see here is what you get. So part of the restoration process will be finding parts and stuff along the way and all that everything. But for right now, this video is going to be mainly about finding or cleaning him up and re-chroming and doing all that good crazy stuff. So yeah, come along with me for the journey, guys, and we'll see what happens. Now, one of the first things that sticks out to me about this Optimus Prime is that his elbow is stuck in this position. So one of the first things I want to do is open all this up and figure out how to get the arm off and out, which I'm pretty sure it's just a screw or something. I'm sure it's something relatively easy. But yeah, I really want to figure out why his elbow is stuck. You can tell it is ratcheted right here. You see the spring and the ratchet and all that stuff in there. So I'm assuming it's either just gummed up and stuck, and it just needs to be greased to help it kind of move fluidly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open this up, take this arm off, and show you guys the inside and figure out what to do from there. So he's got two screws right here on the back that looks like that would separate the arm here, which in turn would separate this from right here from the front part, which in turn would help pull this out. So I'm going to take these two screws out real quick, and it's a Phillips screwdriver. It's a small one, and just kind of get in there. So I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to separate this now, which, yeah, that looks like it separates really easily from the back. There's a smokestack, which that needs to come off and out anyway, so I can clean that up and re-chrome that. And it looks like we got a metal pin in here. Whatever this is, it keeps the arm hinge right here in place, which this arm right here is ratcheted as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grease on here. I'm going to clean up all this flashing and whatnot. This powderized plastic and stuff from just being built up and played with over the year. The plastic kind of disintegrates around the joints. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to clean up all of this right here, and I'm going to figure out how to get in here, which I'm assuming is just two more pieces, or two more screws to take off and out, and clean it up and grease this, this ratchet joint here and see if that helps, which I'm pretty sure it will help. But yeah, take the arm off. And this looks like it just slides over. Yeah, you can see that's pretty caked on in there with some extra plastic or plastic pieces. So I'm going to clean this up. clean this up with some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip and just kind of get all that out. And then I'm going to clean all this up and take this arm off. So, and don't lose your screws. So what I like to do is I will set the screws. So here's this. I will put them back in the hole, or put them off to the side with this piece. So I know those screws go to that. And again, this will sit over here, and then the smokestack, just kind of move all that out of the way. And this, obviously, that just came off. I don't know what this is for. Maybe this is for the ratchet. This metal piece is for the ratchet for not going in and out too far or something. But set that over to the side. And I'm only going to work on one arm at a time because I really don't want to get pieces and parts mixed up, if that's a thing that's possible. Now, it does look like the sticker is on a seam right down the middle. This is an original sticker. So what you can do is, if you want to keep the original sticker but you also want to repair it, you just get a razor blade and slice it straight down the middle of the seam here, and you'll be able to pull it apart. And when you do pull it apart, or when you put it back together, the sticker will meet up, and you'll be able to see the cut, but it won't be terrible. It won't be too bad, which is, I think, what I'm going to do. So you want to get your razor blade in there. It is tabbed together as well. So kind of get your razor blade in there and just try to get the tabs separated as best you can, like so. That's kind of what I'm doing here. I've got my finger on top so it doesn't, so the split stays open, and voila, we got it off. So as you can see the inner workings of this. It's just the spring that goes up against here, and this is a ratchet that goes up against this piece right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all of this up. I'm going to put some grease in there, and that should help it from locking up. Alright guys, so I got my Q-tip, I've got my alcohol, and normally what you would want to do is probably put this under some soap, water, and a toothbrush, but you guys can do it that way, or you guys can do it this way. This I feel like is a quicker cleaning method, because alcohol dries. It dries while it's airborne. It doesn't take as long as water to dry. So, and with the Q-tip, you can kind of rub out all the excess. So you see, I got all the shaved plastic and stuff, the plastic powder, the plastic dust. I've got all that out of there now. And here is the ratchet, which is a die-cast ratchet. That's super cool. It's made of metal. So again, just use your Q-tips, alcohol, and kind of just get it as clean as you can. And the spring, I don't see a whole lot of dust in there. Now the spring isn't what moves. So if you guys don't want to clean out the spring or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to. But what I do recommend is putting some grease right here and on here, and so that way it doesn't have any extra tension on this plastic post. Alright guys, so I got some grease. This is a plastic safe grease. This is an electronic grease for like lasers and stuff like that, but it is safe for plastic. It does say it on the container itself that it is safe for plastic. So what I'm going to do is, what I love about this is that it's the same size as a Q-tip. So you just put your Q-tip in, and you get some grease on your Q-tip, and just grease the post. At the same time, you should be greasing the ratchet, or the plastic that's on the back that's going to be ratcheted. You should get that greased up as well. And you don't have to get it all over, because the ratchet will move the grease around. So if you guys only get it, like say on this section right here, that's fine, because like I said, the grease will move when the ratchet moves. And you want to use plastic safe grease, because if you use anything that's not, it will eat the plastic and it'll end up breaking the plastic. So here we go. We're going to put this back on, back in there, and since the spring is already there on that side, I'm just going to sandwich the two halves together and put this back screw in. Back screw is probably the more important screw to put in because the backside is under pressure because of that spring. And now you can put the front part of the arm together, or front part of the screw together rather, or you can put the screw into the front part of the arm, geez, and just screw it all back in like so, and just give it a test. And there you go. Oh yeah, that's so much better. So yeah, all of that plastic, excess plastic in there was really gunking it up, and you can see now it is smooth as butter. So yeah. So I'm going to do the same thing for the shoulder pieces and everything up here. I'm going to do that off camera though. And show you guys. But I'm not going to do this arm. So before, this arm doesn't want to move up because I think this ratchet is stuck and I don't want to force it. So I'm going to grease this arm and I'm going to show you guys the difference between the two video. But as you can see, so I did grease the arm swivel piece right here because it is die cast. I didn't want the die cast eating the plastic, so I did put a little bit of grease there as well, and it swivels nicely. And here's the other swivel. The other swivel does get stuck just a little bit, but nothing crazy. So I'm probably going to grease this one in the same way that I did that one. The arm, or the elbow joint, is, like I showed you guys earlier, is smooth as silk here, and this side comes up fine, but it doesn't. It gets stuck going back down to where I kind of have to pull the arm just a little bit down to get it out of the way to move back down. But moving it down is more difficult, and it does get stuck in places and stuff. So that's probably what's going on here, is that some of the plastic, there's some plastic powder in there where the plastic is worn off, and that just elbow needs to be cleaned up as well. Now you see this arm doesn't want to come forward. I mean, I don't want to say it's stuck, but I'm not forcing it to come forward. This one now had the same issue, and just perfect. I greased the ratchets and everything that are in there, and it's perfect. So yeah, everything's fine. So I'm gonna do this arm off camera, and then I'll probably move on to taking the arms completely off and taking the torso and everything completely apart to get to these little swivel hinges in here, so I can clean those up and grease those, because these do get stuck as well. So it's all trying to make sure that this Prime doesn't snap on me. So I'm gonna do, like I said, I'll do this arm off camera. Okay guys, so I just found this out, just figured this all out. I showed you wrong on this arm, but I corrected it on this arm. So there is a little tab on this little socket. You can kind of possibly make it out. Focus the camera a little bit better. There's a tab right here, and there's a marking for that tab in the arm right there. So you just got to line it all up when you put it back together, and it should fit all back together fine. But yeah, there we go. Something I didn't do on this arm that I should have, that I didn't notice when I took it apart, but I did notice it here. So I'm going to go back and open this arm back up and align the tab back up. Okay guys, so I went back and I unscrewed this arm right here to get it to ratchet again, because when I put it together the first time, as you guys know, I didn't put it together properly, put it back together properly. So now it ratchets, and I'm sure you guys can hear that, and this side ratchets just as well, just as good, and the elbow over here works perfect the way it should. It works the same way it did back in 1984, 83, and well, screw it, let's go back to 81 and 82, right, like Diaclone years. But yeah, so there you go. These arms are done, and so now what I'm going to do next is get this whole back piece off, and I'm going to grease the inside here where these tabs, or where these arms swivel in and out. Because like I said earlier, they feel like I feel like I'm fighting them. I shouldn't be fighting them. There should be a little resistance, but I shouldn't be fighting them as much as I am. Okay guys, so I did this off camera. I feel like I had to do it off camera because I wasn't too sure how to do it. But but there are 2 screws that go right here in the seats where the Diaclone drivers and passengers and stuff would sit, and that screws him down to his bottom half. Then you have screws here, here, and this is the arm piece right here. Right, so this is what all slides together, and then back here you have your screws. And now this is pretty, I wouldn't say tight, but once you have all the screws undone, it still doesn't want to come apart. And see, I didn't even put this back on, and it's, yeah, so it's clipping on here. It's doing its job really well. You know, it doesn't want to come off. But as you can see, there is, and here's his arm. There's a bunch of plastic dust and stuff in there that I'm going to clean out, just like I did with, you know, with the other pieces. Grab my alcohol real quick. And again, like I said earlier, the reason why I use alcohol is because it's an easier method to clean up all the dust and stuff, and it dries really quick. So yeah, I'm just getting in here to clean up all of the plastic dust and powder and stuff. And what all that dust and stuff is just leftover, you know, so as you play with it, the dust and over time the plastic erodes on itself because it kind of eats itself, because there's nothing to stop the friction, so it ends up just kind of eating itself. And that's why things get loosened up over time as well. And the head comes off really easy right there, and I'm just cleaning it all up. But so that's pretty much what happens. That's why you end up having a lot of this dust and dirt and stuff in here, is from that. I'm going to take this side off as well. It's fighting me, so yeah, I mean, so basically the way it all clips together, it's going to fight you, but once you get the screws out, I wouldn't pull too hard. If you have to use some kind of pry tool, use it like your razor blade or something that you use to cut the stickers with. Feel free to use it. Don't be afraid to kind of put a little bit of oomph behind it. But like I said, don't pull it too hard to where it's going to break and snap and stuff, because that's definitely something you don't want to happen, right? So now this arm should come out, and I'll just clean up. And this is why a lot of figures, older figures, when you play with them, you'll hear that kind of crunchy noise, is because of the plastic, all that plastic dust and stuff that's in there. And I am going to put a little bit of grease to help, some plastic safe grease and stuff to help it move and stuff, because again, I don't want any of this to break. And a lot of this stuff is friction areas and joints and stuff, so I'm just gonna put some on the plastic. Again, this is plastic safe, so no worry about it eating the plastic and causing it to weaken and break and stuff over time. This is all preventative measure, at least, especially at this point, because at this point in time, I feel like a lot of this stuff is needed, because a lot of these figures, see, now it just kind of, alright guys, sorry about that, my battery in my camera died. But what I was saying is that I'm going to get some grease and stuff on the arm here, and if there is any excess, you guys just wipe it off with the Q-tip. Have a few Q-tips around just in case. I don't know when the camera died, but as you can see right here, this is going around and wrapping around really smooth now. I am going to have to go back in and clean up some of the grease and stuff that's right here on the back. Okay guys, sorry about that one. My memory card got full. So what I did is I greased these tabs and stuff, and it's just going to slide back into place like so, and I'm going to bring the arm down to its resting position at what will be the figure's side. As the head comes off, that's okay, because I'm pretty sure I can put it in here like this. So put the head in like so, Boom. And there you go. And now I'm just going to kind of squeeze it, push it all back together. And we should have an operating chest here. So I'm just going to squeeze it back together. And here the arm spins around. And there's a lot less fighting here. And I dig it. So I'm going to put this guy, screw this guy all back together. Okay, guys. So I took Prime down to the sum of his parts here. And my plan was to fully take him completely apart and get in there and grease behind the legs and do all this other stuff and kind of clean him up back there the same way that I did the arms. Unfortunately, this entire pin assembly is pressed in from factory, and I really can't get it off. I was reading up that, ideally probably get some needle nose pliers and pry one wheel off, and then it'll pull through, and then do all this other stuff. But I decided not to do that. So what I went ahead and did, I took a flathead screwdriver, and I put some grease on it, and I greased the pole right here on either side. And now it folds up without fighting me. And I did the same thing on the outside as well. Now, I got in there in between the spring. I do need to go in there and clean the spring up. But as you can see, I did grease it. And what that does is when it goes in and out, it does grease the mechanism and the ratchets and stuff that are inside the legs right there as well when you grease up both sides. So you just grease up both sides and then move it around like this. And as you can see, it's not fighting me. Now, the only downside to doing it this way is that the plastic residue, the plastic powder, as I've been calling it this entire video, is still in there. But it's not hindering anything anymore. So that's, so it's a good thing that it's not hindering it. So yeah, so if you guys don't want to take it completely apart, or in my case, like, you can't take it apart, because I have needle nose pliers, I don't want to get in there, and I don't want to mar up the plastic, I don't want to snap anything, because you guys got to remember this is a really old figure at this point. So yeah, so I just went in there with the greased this up and greased them up on either side, and greased up the post right in there. So yeah, I'm going to put him all back together now, and then I'm going to show you guys the finished results. Alright guys, so here we got Optimus Prime all put back together, and how does his joints move? Just like they did day one, man, from when he came out of the package. The elbows move like they should. They're very silky, very soft, very smooth. The legs back here, no problem at all whatsoever. And he can transform into truck mode and everything. Just perfect. Well, if I remember the steps, right? But yeah, he can transform just fine now. And everything operates the way that it should. What I'm going to do is how I'm going to chrome this up. I'm going to use the Molotov chrome pin here. These do come in different sizes. This is the 4mm tip. It is a relatively large tip. But I do find that this chrome matches the original chrome that was supposed to be on here, on the G1 Prime. Now, they do make a 1mm tip as well, and the cool thing about that 1mm tip is you can really get into the nooks and the crannies and stuff. But I do recommend, on some of the stuff, you're going to want a brush. So like right here, there's a lot of chrome off of the wheel here on this side. A lot of the chrome here is taken off of the gas tanks on both sides. His legs on the back have been completely de-chromed over time. Now, again, like I was saying, there are many ways to re-chrome something. There is chrome spray paint, which doesn't have the luster that the liquid chrome does. It has a lot of orange peel in it, and if you guys don't know what orange peel is, just look up orange peel in automotive paint or in paint in general, and you guys will see what I'm talking about there. But it does have a lot of orange peel, and sometimes you can buff it but to get the orange peel out and get it to where you want it. But I don't feel like going through all of that, especially since I can't get the legs completely off, because like I was saying earlier, that pin goes all the way through. So you can also actually go through the electroplating process and have these things re-electroplated, which is what they did from factory. The original chrome on here is actual metal, and it doesn't really bond with plastic. The electroplating, it has to be metal. So what these are basically like coated in like nickel or whatever type of metal that it gets coated in, and then it gets the chrome treatment. Again, that you guys can do that. The electroplating kits, you guys can find them. They do make their own, but again, for the most part, the electroplating doesn't match the original chrome color on most of these G1 figures. I do find that the Molotov is a really good match for the chrome. So the reason why I say use a brush is a lot of these smaller areas, like right here on the grill, or excuse me, on top of the grill right here, you can't really get the tip of the pin in there. So because of the way the cab sticks over just a little bit right there, and the brush can just get into the fine areas that you might need it. So what I do is, for the brush use, I'm going to show you guys a little quick tip on the brush use, and then I'm going to brush it off camera. But since it is a paint pen, you have to kind of pump the pen a little bit in order to get the paint out of it. So what I do is I just pump it just a little bit, like so, on my desk here. And don't worry, this cleans up really well with alcohol. It's really easy cleanup. So what I do here, so then I'll take my brush and I'll put a little bit right here. So what I'll do is I'll take my brush there and dip it like you would just any other paint. And then right here, the blue part of the plastic is really starting to show through. So just dip the brush and kind of just go over the blue and the chrome itself, just like so. And I'll show you guys this one, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera, mainly because I'm sitting at a funky angle because of the camera here at the desk. But yeah, so now as you can see, the chrome, it's chromed back up versus the blue plastic that's shining through right there. So I'm gonna do the rest of it off camera. Alright guys, so I started chroming him, re-chroming him back up, and there were some places that I did need to use the brush technique on, like right up here above the grill, as I was saying, right up here on the top of the grill. In the wheel, in some of the wheels, I had to use the brush. And as you can see, I didn't chrome everything yet. I still need to chrome the smokestacks and the gas tanks. But if you guys remember how bad this was, this entire front bumper was just really beat. Now, I did mess up a little bit, and I wanted to show you guys what exactly happens when you mess up. I want you guys to understand this is paint. It's 100% paint. This is a fingerprint in the liquid chrome. Now, if you guys aren't careful, it is something that will and can happen, so just be very mindful of how you hold the figure, where you hold the figure, and all that stuff as you're using the liquid chrome, because that can happen. Now, I did leave some of the spots damaged, some of the spots blue, because like I said, he's very well loved. He's been very well loved over the years, and I love that. I love the fact that, you know, he does look the way he looks. He's somewhat battered, he's somewhat broken. It just means that he was loved and played with and enjoyed, and that's what I absolutely love about it. Now, I am going to go in and I am going to re-chrome the smokestacks here, and I am going to chrome the gas tanks. I'm not going to do it right now because I am going to wait for all of this stuff to dry. This takes roughly 24 to 48 hours to fully, or to get to where you can touch it. To fully cure, it takes about 2 weeks. This will be it for this video, I guess. This won't be a full restoration. This will be a continued restoration. So think of this as part 1 of an Optimus Prime restoration video. And here in the second part, I will show you guys how to fix the stress mark. I am going to get some stickers as well. I'm going to order some stickers from Repro Labels and put some stickers on him. And do all that crazy stuff and finish chroming him up. And maybe, just maybe, I might even touch up the paint right here on his chest because it is pretty battered. But I may or may not, because like I said, I do like the worn look. Like I said, you know, just a toy that was well loved and well enjoyed, and that's what I find here with this Optimus Prime, and I absolutely love it. So I will see you guys in part 2 of this restoration. I will see you guys come Saturday for the podcast and all that good stuff. So love all you guys. Stay safe out there. Be kind to each other, and I'll see you guys next round. And as always, say it with me, cut it out. Later, guys.
Out of the way, hot rod!